Thanks for making a date on the marketplace. Now, almost all the telecom companies in the country have defied Communications Ministry's order to connect their systems to the Kelny GVG platform. Joy Business checks as at last night showed that only Glow has connected to the system. Why are most of the telcos refusing to comply with this order? And what about cost and privacy issues raised? Karen Dodu has the rest of the story.
Joy Business checks show the boycott has been influenced by an application pending in court about the deal. Also, some of the telcos are worried that looking at the current engineering of Kelny GVG, subscribers' calls can be monitored by a third party, a development that they are not excited about. There are also concerns about whether there is really value for money in this whole deal. Per the contract, government will pay Kelny GVG $1.5 million every month for 5 years. In the instance of a breach under the contract, or if Kelny GVG's performance is unsatisfactory, then the deal can be called off. Otherwise, the contract will be automatically renewed, meaning another $89 million of the taxpayers' money for another 5-year period. Government has had to rely exclusively on information submitted by the telcos, which is then used to determine how much taxes it must pay. For instance, MTN said it makes at least 9.3 million cedis in revenue every day and therefore paid 1.218 billion cedis in taxes in 2017. However, the Communication Ministry believes the figures given by the telcos must be monitored. Many have, however, questioned the controversial deal, including Imani Africa terming the deal as a rip-off by the Communication Minister. Franklin Kujo is the president of Imani Africa.
You are paying 1.5 million taxpayers' money, dollars. That's about 6 million Ghana cedis to somebody to look for peace in your kitchen. Meanwhile, as the food is being eaten in your kitchen, you are deciding that you are paying the so-called watchman more than the entire food you buy into your fridge.
However, Communications Minister Eslo Wusu-Ekufu assures that the offer is the best on the table.
There has been absolutely no corruption or underhand dealings in this transaction. I can never be party to any such conduct, as I value my reputation and the reputation of the government which serves the good people of Ghana. I stand here as a minister of the Akufo-Addo administration to assure this august house that I believe this is the best deal we could have got.
Well, time would indeed tell whether this deal is good or not.
Moving on to another top story today, the Association of Ghana Solar Industries has taken a swipe at the Electricity Company of Ghana over the suspension of the solar net metering policy of the Energy Commission. According to the association, the suspension of the net metering policy is causing undue delay to a policy meant to bring relief to consumers in terms of cost. The program would allow electricity producers to provide surplus or to export surplus to the national grid. This would also allow households and organizations to meet their own electricity demand with their own production. Now, joining us now on Skype to throw some more light on the suspension and other issues is the Secretary of the Association, Kwesi Ejinim-Boateng, who has already described this development as disappointing. Kwesi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right. So first, can you tell us what exactly the net metering policy is?
Okay. So you remember that in 2011, there was a law, the Renewable Energy Law, the Act of Parliament, and in there they have put in what we call the net metering code. So the net metering code allows people to use their own electricity, that is from solar or renewable energy, to send excess have generated for themselves national grid, and so doing a net off is, for instance, let's say if I produce 30 kilowatts, I only use 50 kilowatts. The kilowatt can be set to the net the grid, so that when needed, it's net off. So this is what the law in 2011, and for 3 years, the metering code has been there. The net metering code. So what we're expecting at the industry was to say, okay, now that we have the net metering, it opens opportunities for businesses, both in industry and business. But what we are seeing now is that they have suspended this after we have piloted it for some time.
And why do you think this has been suspended?
It's actually a bi-directional, but now that is not happening. We think that this is something that the ECG must come back to. It's a very good policy, has been put into the law, and we need to get it operationalized.
Now, what is the explanation of the ECG for which this law or policy has been suspended?
Come back again. I missed you on that.
I just want to know exactly why the policy has been suspended. What are reasons assigned to this suspension?
Okay, so we are in information from bits and pieces from the unofficially. What we have heard is that it is not. It's not in their. It's not well formed. That's what they think. That law is not formed. In that, if we export 1 kilowatt of power to the grid, they should not also export one back. It's not going to be. It shouldn't be a 1-for-1 affair. It should be something else. The ratio, they dispute the ratio. They don't agree to it. That is what we have heard so far.
What would have been the impact if this policy is implemented?
Okay, so for instance, let me speak in layman's terms. If you install solar on your roof for now, let's say you are a home, and then you install, let's say, 100 watts. All that you need is what is being generated for actual use. But you see, there are times that you are not using that electricity, but the solar panels are still generating power. And that is what the law says. That power, you can push it to the national grid for redistribution. Let's say a factory, it works only from Monday to Friday. It has installed solar power. The weekend that it is not using, Saturday, Sunday,
okay,
that power goes back to the grid. That is the notion, that is the law. So that somebody doesn't think that 100,000 to install a system that not use on Monday, Saturday.
Now, don't you think that the ECG is serving as a storage, platform, and you paying just something, for that service? Is it not the right way to go?
No. I mean, what is happening right now? The law says that there is the net meters are there.
Okay.
And I am not supposed to use electricity as if I am using it to make profit. But I am just using it as a mitigation measure, and also for climate, for companies and individuals who want to meet their climate change event mitigation objectives. It is not for profit. Nobody, if you want to go and use ECG storage, there is another law is there. You can talk about utility scale, things like that. This is purely on a consumer who has power. He has no intention to sell electricity. He doesn't want to make money out of it. Just that he's exporting the excess to the grid. And then on, let's say, in the night where he also uses electricity, ECG also gives him back electricity. In the layman's and simple terms, that's it.
Now, how could you tell exactly if consumers are not putting this, power to commercial use, as you are saying?
To commercial use, the law has remedies for that. There are limits to which you export. You must use more than that.
Okay. Now, Kwesi, what about tariffs? How would tariffs be calculated if this power should go through the national grid? How is the expectation like?
So basically, you're asking, if we bring renewable energy into the mix of our power, how does it affect tariff?
Exactly. Tariffs. I'm talking about tariffs, charges.
Yes, tariffs, yes. So let's put that larger question to what is the effect of the 10% energy mix that the issue of energy and the government they are bringing to the generation. That has all been factored for.
Okay.
It is in the calculation. That is why we have the 15%. They have set it, PURC set it in such that we don't distort the system. And the pricing is also.
All right. Now, another issue that you have been confronted with for some time now is the issue of taxes on solar equipment which are imported into the country. What are the level of taxes now, and what would you wish government should do with such taxes issues?
Again, it goes back to 2011. Prior to 2011, and somewhere even in 2006, we said as a nation that we would promote renewable energy, and so we scrapped all the taxes on the importation of solar panels.
Exactly.
Okay. And we all were part of it. I think what we did not envisage was a time coming where customs will have difficulty in identifying what solar equipment are. So in the current scheme of things, if you bring solar panel, it is zero rated on duty. Even in the current scheme that we have adopted, the ECOWAS, it is still zero. You see, the challenge there is if you should bring all your things. So as a solar company, you have solar panel, batteries, inverters, everything. And what customs is saying is that if you bring these things together like that, then you have a lower tariff because it is all considered as one component. But at times, what are people find it difficult doing is that these things you can bring some from China, you can bring some from Japan or inverters from the US. At what point do you bring them together to be able to enjoy this tax relief for the people? We have engaged the customs of this last 2 weeks in the discussion with them, and they also appreciate it that for them they are in privileges. Talk to the Energy Commission and other people so that they can bring clarity on this.
All right, now, finally, before you go, I know with the passing of the Renewable Energy Act, there's also a portion for a setting up of the Renewable Energy Fund. What has become that fund? Is it in operation now, and how is it being utilized?
Okay, maybe the Ministry of Energy may be the right people to discuss this one, but you also know that what they mentioned in there was a Renewable Energy Authority to be in charge of the fund. But now there is no renewable.
Okay.
So we all need to first ask who is in charge of the fund. I think somewhere in 2016, the Minister of Energy mentioned that they are going to implement the Energy Authority and they're going to establish it, but still it's not there. So I think they must answer.
All right, many thanks for your time. Kwesi Jenim Boateng is the secretary to the Association of Solar Industries here in Ghana. He's been sharing his thoughts on some developments within the renewable energy sector. And away from that, the Bank of Ghana is making moves to enhance its supervisory role to cover the savings and loans industry more efficiently. This will involve carving the banking and supervision department of the bank to meet international best practices. This was disclosed by Special Advisor to the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Grace Abrefi.
The Ghanaian economy cannot afford the size of bailout packages released by developed markets in the aftermath of the 2007-2008 global financial crisis. Since then, useful lessons have been learned, and it will interest you to know that Financial regulators across Europe and America have now resorted to bail-in mechanisms to resolve problem banks and financial institutions. Notice I said bail-in and not bail-out. Mitigating the risk of corporate failures in the financial sector therefore calls for collective efforts to instill corporate governance principles in every financial institution. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, given the important role specialized deposit institutions play in financial intermediation, the Bank of Ghana has committed itself to carving its supervisory functions consistent with international best practices and in line with the Basel Core principles for effective supervision to enhance the legal and regulatory framework. In addition, the Bank of Ghana issued corporate governance directive for banks and specialized deposit institutions and regulated under the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions Act 2016, Act 930 in March 2018. I am confident that this directive will contribute significantly towards strengthening governance systems in the banking system.
Now, some companies currently on the Ghana Trade Mission to Aberdeen, Scotland, are visiting some of the key companies on a tour in that area. And our correspondent, Israel Lai, who is part of the mission, is joining us now via Skype with some more updates. Good afternoon, Izzy.
Hello, good afternoon, Emmanuel.
All right, so how has it been like? Which companies or which areas have you visited today?
So we've been to, we have a third company. The company is called Tendeka. Before we came to Tendeka, to People's Factor Consultation, and then we had also one other so right now we're and we're just been taking actually after this presentation to get, but we're being told what it does. Essentially, what we're trying to do, what's happening here now, is some Ghanaian firms that they're coming to interact with a company like them. They tell us what exactly they do. Then the Ghanaian companies can work together, form some partnership. Whilst the company that will be interested, whilst the Ghanaian companies rather having some partnerships with the Tendeka is also interested in how we can work together with the Ghanaian businesses here, and a number of the Ghanaian businesses. Just like quickly see some of them. Zomelo and associates.
All right, Izzy. It looks like we're not getting a clear sound from you, but if you can hear me, this indicates that the tour in itself has been very relevant. Now, have there been any partnerships signed between any Ghanaian company and a Scottish counterpart?
Well, partnerships haven't been signed yet, but maybe let's speak to Zomelo and associates. They've been in the interactions a bit more. So are you tell us if you've been strike some relationships with?
Yes, so far, talking to staff, and there are experts developing deeper relations when we have.
All right. And there's also to speak with Paul, actually. Paul of he's going to tell us a bit about what they do. What exactly?
Yeah, so Tendeka is delivering intelligent to enhance production. So we were just now was actually communications technology. which allows us to from specific.
Yeah, it looks like we have to end this here. We're not getting too clear sound at this juncture. And that was my colleague Israel Lai, currently visiting Aberdeen, Scotland, as part of a trade mission to that area, visiting with some Ghanaian companies and trying to seek some partnerships with their Scottish counterparts. At least 12,750 Ghanaian youth are expected to benefit from an entrepreneurship package to transform their socio-economic life. Global Network of Innovation, EQWIP, is spearheading the initiative led by Canada World Youth with support from Youth Challenge International. Country Manager Gifty Volume Karime Cook says the beneficiaries of the program, which is being implemented in 6 countries, including Ghana, will receive training to develop positive attitudes to implement business ideas.
Initiative will be executed through market-driven work skills and entrepreneurship incubators for gender-responsive programs, mentorships, and seed grants. Successful candidates can benefit from a package between 500 to 2,000 Canadian dollars. Implementation in the Ashanti region follows successful schemes in the Greater Accra and Northern region.
Still, we'll continue with our core training that looks at the employment work readiness models, and then the entrepreneurship training. Our entrepreneurship training has an incubator. It has a youth support fund allocated that will benefit young people who have very creative business ideas that are environmentally friendly and are also gender responsive and will use local materials to be able to continue growing the business. We have 51 openings still available within these 2 years that we will be working, and that is open to this relationship and our existing relationships to draw from the funding.
Kumasi Technical University is implementing partner through its Institute of Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Development.
And here we draw the curtains down on this edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Adwaji. Let's meet again same time tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.